All right, guys. Well, I guess we're obligated to do it. Are you guys ready to review She-Hulk episode 3?
She-Hulk, bum bum bum.
So this episode is called "The People versus Emil Blonsky," which is all about She-Hulk defending the Abomination. I don't know if I can defend this abomination of an
I knew
episode.
that was coming.
Did it? Fucking burned them.
Got him.
Got him. Man, yeah, you told me this morning, and you just said it earlier in the show. You're like, well, this was better than episode 1 and 2. I'm like, we'll get to it, but like, I was like, I don't fucking see it. Whew. I thought this was pretty bad. Okay, we start off because the episode 2 ended with the news discovering that footage from Shang-Chi, basically, of Abomination fighting in the Fight Club or whatever. He was out of prison. Oh, by the way, I think last episode I like it'd been so long since I saw Abomination. I thought he was more of like a white color, but no, he is like a green color. Yeah, I was wrong about that.
Greenish.
So yeah, Jennifer tells Emil that he destroyed his chances of parole. But he said that Wong actually forced him to leave the prison and that he returned of his own free will. Next, there's kind of this news montage where they talk about She-Hulk.
Oh yeah.
And they kind of take shots at like men.
Men. Oh.
Like you on the last episode.
The silent villain.
They're going to play clips of us. No, we weren't that bad. But I don't know. It's another one of these things where it's like ever present, it seems like. And maybe it's fair commentary, but again, I don't know. I felt it was kind of ham-fisted. But it was so quick. I guess it doesn't really matter, but it was still there.
It was kind of like a little machine gun of different little,
like YouTube,
like tweets and random.
Yeah, that
shit.
too.
Yeah.
And like YouTube comments, things like that. Like, wasn't one guy like, I'm okay with a woman superhero, but why does she have to be a Hulk? Could she be something else? And I think that's like, something people said about Jane Foster being called Thor. And,
I love titties of every color. It's like, we get it. Yeah. Yeah, me too. Same, bro.
So next I wrote, asshole lawyer Dennis from episode 1 is filing a suit against his ex-girlfriend using Jen's law firm.
Okay, so
I hated this whole fucking plot.
well, the thing is, it doesn't contribute to her story. It's a weird side story. Now, was that the guy? Was the defendant Did they date or something?
No, they worked together for a long time.
It was just working together.
They worked together.
because they acted like an ex-couple or something.
No, he was just a coworker that she hated because he was dumb and he would always like talk about his love life and he was just this annoying turd of a guy.
Okay, and like his lawyer is that guy named Pug.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which it stands for like Puglioso or
Puglio. Yeah,
something.
You might want to stick with your Puglioso.
rather than Pug. I hated this whole plot, but also, like, in one episode, he files the suit, has a preliminary hearing, and finishes the case.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of, like, it's so ridiculous. Like, this is not how the justice system works, by the way, folks.
It's a weird side story. Yeah.
It was just nonsense.
But it was long.
So basically, the basis of the thing is he had a girlfriend who turned out to be a shape-shifting light elf from New Asgard, and since it involves like a superpowered person, that's why he's using their law firm. And they had this whole thing where she was pretending to be Megan Thee Stallion, which they'll go back to a million times in this fucking episode. I mean, she better stay famous because otherwise this episode is going to be out of date real fucking fast. And he was stupid enough to believe it, and basically he bought her all this extravagant stuff. She, and got him to pay, $175,000. We later find out in gifts to this lady before he figured it out that it wasn't her.
This guy's got some money if he's just dropping this.
Right, he's like
Now,
this
the thing
high-priced
is,
lawyer.
Basically, he got to bang Megan Thee Stallion apparently because this is what the woman is posing as. Like, didn't he get his money's worth?
I mean, that's a problem with these PG shows is you don't get that side of the story. Maybe she never gave it up.
Yeah, she could make a good living off of pretending to be people. And
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, that's very true.
But then again, if you were a shapeshifter, like you could just become a model and you wouldn't even have to fuck people.
That's the thing. He didn't even have to dump her. Like, he could have been like, oh, okay.
Pretend to be my
Yeah.
Megan Thee Stallion girlfriend or whatever.
Can you do Selma Hayek?
That's true. If you had a shapeshifter girlfriend, you could just be like, oh, a different chick every
Yeah.
night.
Yep.
But then she'd like turn into her old self and be like, don't you love me the way I look now?
No, bitch.
This is my true self. Like, yeah. God, no.
Where's J-Lo?
Come on. Or she shifts back like in the middle. Like, oh, no.
I
No.
want you to see me for who I am. No, God, no.
Every goddamn time. Or she turns into a man.
So while they're in that meeting, Wong shows up in one of his sling ring portals, and they go into her office and talk. And Wong basically backs up Emil's story, says he's telling the truth, and that he needed a worthy opponent in his training as the Sorcerer Supreme.
Now, is this the truth?
I mean,
It sounds weird.
it does, and
But like
also
they haven't like shown any other reason you might have been there.
But then, I mean, I only saw Shang-Chi the one time, but weren't they basically working the crowd? Like, they were basically, it seemed like they were pretending to fight, but really, like, once they got backstage, they were like...
Well, I think he did knock him out and like packed him away with that like trick where he did the portal and the guy punched himself in the head or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, it did seem like they had a certain camaraderie. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
They also, Wong here kind of references Spider-Man No Way Home, where he's talking about, oh, you can't erase people's memories. That gets real messy or whatever. It was just kind of a way to shoehorn that reference in. So now there's a scene, back to this, between Dennis and Pug. And this is where Pug, says he spent $175K on the Megan Thee Stallion impersonator. So then, like Pug shakes his hand and he's like, okay, I'll get to work on this. He leaves. And then Dennis comes right back in and he's like, actually, you know what? I'm going to drop the case. And then we find out that that's the shapeshifter elf woman who, I mean,
Waiting.
was just like, waiting to come right in. Next, the parole hearing starts. Wong is late to give us some tension. So Emil starts talking. He says he's a changed man, and he's supported by his 8 soulmates, who they allowed to also watch this proceeding. What do you guys think of these hippie ladies?
I was like, it's kind of like a weird side note, but like, I could see that happening in real life.
I actually didn't mind the humor in this episode. I liked Wong being silly, and I liked this whole 8 wives thing, and Blonsky just being kind of aloof.
I didn't think any of it. I mean, I don't think any of it in this show so far has been like gut busting funny.
No, not gut busting.
I mean,
I was a
or
little
even-
bit amused at the end of Wong's second appearance,
Yeah.
which is coming up, I guess.
So yeah, Emil says he's a changed man. He's supported by his 8 soulmate girlfriends. And then they have this montage where people that work in the prison are defending Emil. I think like the prison counselor says he's like helps meditation with the people, and like there was a guard that had a breakup with his wife or girlfriend or something, and it was nothing.
They're not making toilet wine anymore. They're making toilet kombucha.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
that line. So hilarious. So funny.
He really changed that guy's life.
So finally, Wong shows up in the courtroom. And then they have this. God, I hated this. So now we go. There's this other interstitial where we're seeing Pug.
Oh,
God damn it, Pug
he's
in
in his underwear. It's going to get really up our noses.
we got this another interstitial where Pug is in courtroom with Dennis and the elf lady, and it doesn't go the elf lady's way. So then she turns into the judge and says she going to drop the case? But I mean, it was horrible, right? That scene,
Yeah.
terrible. I hated that whole subplot. Really, it was just awful.
But I mean, I feel like they've got to bring it back, right? Like,
Well, I didn't understand
God, I
using
hope
that B story at all because it didn't really tie to her at all. It was just like,
Well, I mean, they eventually use her later on, but yeah, it just
for
felt like
20
filler.
Yeah.
I feel
it
like
was
they're gonna
filler.
need
A
her.
short episode with filler.
I feel like they're gonna need her later on. They're gonna go to that light elf for some sort of help. I mean, you turn into something.
I could see that.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah,
what
that's
happened
like
to the woman in the first one, Titania?
I have a theory about that ties into the end of this
Okay.
show. So yeah, now we go back to the parole hearing, and basically Wong tells his story again that yeah, he busted Emil out of prison, but he went back with his own free will. But the board says, okay, so Emil, you might be okay, but what about the abomination? So Emil changes into the abomination to prove that he's in control. This kind of freaks everybody out, but you know, I guess it ends up kind of helping his case or whatever. So they grant Emil's parole, but he has to wear an inhibitor device so that he can't change into abomination.
Now, how are they going to manage that? Because Bruce is freaking off across the galaxy somewhere.
What does that matter?
Wasn't that his technology?
I don't know. I mean, this is like a thing in like a lot of superhero comics is they find these inhibitor bands, you know.
So basically, he has to wear a bracelet.
Yeah. And who knows, yeah, if this is Bruce's technology or something else. They don't really go into it. I didn't write it down, but I think you were referencing like the board tells Wong, like, you know, technically you broke out a criminal out of prison,
Yeah, and
which
he's
makes
like,
you a criminal.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Jumps through the portal.
He's like, well, I have to go. Yeah. So I guess that was like somewhat, that was probably the most humorous
that was
part
probably
of the
show.
So now this was fucking stupid too. So I think there's a scene in the bar where like Jen, Pug, and her friend are talking. And so Pug's like, oh, this gives me an idea. So he basically has Jen testify in the Dennis's trial, basically character witness that he's a fucking idiot. Like she's known him for a long time and he's a fucking idiot. And the
He's
judge
like,
is
yeah.
the judge is like,
he is an idiot.
yeah, and the judge is like, this checks out, you win. I mean, I feel like that whole subplot was written for like 10-year-olds.
Also, that doesn't have any conflicts of interest.
Exactly. I'm like, there's so much wrong with this. Like the fact that he goes from like hiring a lawyer to winning the case in a single day, basically, to like conflict of interest, and like it was so stupid. But then again, didn't the showrunners say they didn't know how to write about court scenes?
Yeah.
they're
They went
proving
for it
that
anyway.
Okay. So now, She-Hulk is like going home. She's attacked by a bunch of I wrote toxic males with weird light up weapons.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
These guys, God, I didn't understand this at all. But yeah, these guys are very like stereotypical like male like seeming like woman hater like guys.
They seem like incel types.
Yeah. And they like have these weird weapons. Like I want to say like one looks like a crowbar, one's like a mace, and other things. But they're all like weirdly lit up, and like I think she mentions like, are those Asgardian or something? And they say yes.
Well, what'd you do?
Robin Asgardian construction worker.
Right. Yeah.
And they're like, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, she easily defeats them, and at one point, like, one of them like went to stab her with a needle, but it just like bent or whatever.
Yeah, like he's trying to get her blood.
Yeah. So now there's a scene where the guys are back in their van and they're talking about like, did you get the blood sample? And he's like, no. Once you turn into She-Hulk, it just like screwed it up. And the guy's like, the boss isn't going to like that. So I kind of have a feeling that Titania is their boss. And she's trying to get the Hulk powers. That's just a guess. But what do you guys think? Guess of who the boss is?
It would have been a better storyline if they had gotten the blood.
They probably will eventually.
But also they're attacking him for like the first half of that scene. She like doesn't transform, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, I can transform."
Yeah.
I think it's maybe more like an underworld boss or something. It could be like I don't know, maybe Fisk or somebody who's like.
I mean, we know Daredevil's going to make an appearance in the show. Which poor Daredevil, they're going to fucking take him through the mud, make a joke out of him.
Yeah, trying to think of how that would go.
Oh, and did you guys watch the after credit scene
Yeah.
where she fucking twerks with Megan Thee Stallion, her new client?
I had to watch. I saw people make.
They had to hire an extra CGI guy to make her ass bigger.
That was so cringy to me.
Yeah, that was cringy.
I mean, you guys like this better than the first two? I thought this was fucking terrible.
I don't count the
I hated
post-credit
this.
scene as
well,
part
I
of
mean
it.
the whole show, the whole
I
episode.
haven't liked any of them. So.
I don't know. It just is the flow of it. Everything. It just seemed better to me than the first two episodes. The first two episodes were like slow and a standstill, and I was just waiting for it to get off the ground. And this one at least seemed like it was starting to go in a direction. Like
a bad direction. I don't know, man. This episode did not work for me.
That last scene too is just like just slopped in there.
Yeah, that
like what the fuck.
that post credit scene was very.
Oh yeah, that was
unfortunate.
just. I was also confused for a minute. I was like, "Is this like the Asgardian or is this Megan Thee Stallion?"
Mm-hmm.
By the way, like, I'm so out of touch. Like, I've heard the name Megan Thee Stallion. I think maybe she's like one of the people in the Wet Ass Pussy video, but I don't really know her other than her name.
I think Wet Ass Pussy is.
Well, I think Wet Ass Pussy is like maybe Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
But I think maybe like
Oh, she did it together.
she's like together.
collab. Okay.
But I'm so fucking old. Who knows? But Jesus, I don't know. Like the first two episodes, I still had like some promise, and now I'm thinking like, is this going the Hawkeye Miss Marvel route? This one really put me in the downer. Like, I don't know. This was maybe like a 2 out of 10 for me.
I don't remember what I rated the John Cena one back in the day, but I think maybe it needs to. Maybe I wasn't.
It looks better compared to this.
It's starting to shape up.
I think we generally liked Peacemaker, didn't we?
Yeah, it was decent. It was definitely better than this.
Yeah, this was rough. God, please rebound. I am scared of what they're going to do with Daredevil, though. Because what do you guys think? I didn't write it down, but there was also many points in this where they like kind of took shots at the media, like.
Yeah, it's just something you don't care about. It's just,
they're like, she's rumored to have been rejected by the Avengers, and like there was a lot of little like media jokes.
There's at some point she went on the news to like
Yeah,
tell her side.
yeah. Towards the end, and they had some like the news reporter said something stupid on that one too, and
Yeah.
it does seem like they're trying to make a thing about the media, and also like we said, like the YouTube guys that are toxic males.
Toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like that whole rundown of like those YouTube guys because I see those videos on my feed.
I mean, there are people like that, I guess, but
there's so many people who like review bombed it and like hated the show before it even came out.
Yeah, we're at least watching it before we hate it.
It's just there were too many people who just wanted to hate it, and I was surprised that this show like kind of had the foresight to be like, let's call that out before it even happens.
I remember like that same thing happened to that female Ghostbusters movie, like it was review bomb before it ever came out, and so I really was like hoping that would be a good movie to put like the those people in their place, and then I saw it and I was like, fuck, this is Fucking terrible.
Not today.
yeah.
Evil wins today.
Yeah, evil wins today. I can't defend this.
Some real piece of shit is like total vindication.
My hatred is rewarded. Guys, any final thoughts on She-Hulk before we wrap this episode up?
You know, the theme is consistent with me. I'm optimistic, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it, you know?
Who wants to see me twerk in my underwear?
I heard you fart in your underwear.
Yeah.
We got to get an effects team to change into Megan Thee Stallion.
Body, yada, yada.
I could do the Walter White scene right now.
Well, I am genuinely curious if anybody like really liked this episode, or for that matter didn't. Like, please comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on it, because and maybe we'll even read them here on the show next week. But speaking of comments, please subscribe to the show, both on the YouTube channel and on the podcast service of your choice. Leave us those comments. Leave us positive reviews, thumbs up. Tell your friend, tell your grandpappy, all that good stuff. And then come over to Twitter and start a conversation with us there. Guys, where can people find you on Twitter?
A name for this too, and that's the number 2.
At unsolicited SUG.
And you can, of course, find me at Zach Jones Live. That's ZachJonesLive. And that is going to do it for all of our shenanigans and poppycock this week. Please, please, please tune in again next week. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Have a good one.